Oh, hello everybody. This is Jeff over at the Burnout Shelter. Got another vinyl finds video for you today. First up, I'd like to talk about a VC meetup from a couple of weeks back. Mr. Eric Weinbender was kind enough to grace us with his presence. He was in the Chicago area for a wedding, and he orchestrated a meetup of sorts of some of the guys that lived in the area. So he met up with Lovell Andrew, Jeff Kempin, and I believe his name is Vance from zeppearl over in the Wicker Park neighborhood. There's a few record stores over there. So they met up at Dusty Groove and Sugar, and I met everyone at the Reckless Park Records over there. And here's a picture of that. And so we did some digging, nerded out a little bit, and it was great meeting everybody. Cool bunch of guys, and I'll leave links to everybody's channels in the description. They're all subscriber worthy and very cool guys. So yeah, check them out. And now here are my finds, recent finds. Johnny Winter and from 1970. Fantastic Johnny Winter album. Now, Johnny was pretty much a blues purist up until this, I would say. This is more of a rock record, but just bluesy, hard rock. He hooked up with Rick Derringer. There's an early version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo on this, but this is fantastic. And this was super cheap, $2. It's like a German press, CBS Records. But I would say Essential Johnny Winter would be this, Second Winter, and Progressive Blues Experiment. This is fucking great. Really good record. Next up, Slade by Slade from 1972. I think it's kind of a stretch to call this glam. Maybe hard glam, but it's absolutely obnoxious and fun as hell. This is just rowdy, ballsy, hard rock. Fantastic if you're into that sort of thing. So this is also, I think, a German press on Polydor, but yeah, this is killer stuff. Next up, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Nonagon Infinity from 2016. Frenetic, driving, kind of neo-psych madness. Fucking great. This plays kind of like a sidelong track on both sides, but there are different songs. It's, you know, they kind of run into each other, and you got to really be listening to tell where one song ends and the other begins. I don't know, but it's a great listen nevertheless. Just progadelic neo-psych madness. Good shit. This next one, David Peel and the Lower East Side, American Revolution from 1970. And this is like 30 minutes of kind of proto-punk attitude with, I guess, hippie politics. Matt Sands showed this on his channel. He showed this and I think another album by them. So I picked this up for about $10 at Reckless, and it's fantastic. I love it. It's a bit of a novelty record, but it's great. I mean, this is definitely proto-punk. Really worth checking out. This next one, Plastic Cloud from '68. This is a 2020 reissue on Lion, and this is fantastic. Fuzzy, floaty Canadian psych with kind of Birds-esque harmonies. Originals of this go for a lot of money. I think Dan from Dots and Loops was able to score one of these. He traded a portion of his existing collection in to, I guess, be able to pay for one of these originals. But this is fantastic. Highly recommend this band. And kind of a cool label. And this next one, Yardbirds, Over, Under, Sideways, Down from '66. This is basically Roger the Engineer, the American version. Roger the Engineer has a couple of more songs on it. I also own that record. And the sequencing's a little different, but it's basically the same album. And the reason I picked this up was it was so cheap because the vinyl didn't look very good. But I tell you what, man, if you see sort of trash copies on that mid 60s Epic label, take the chance on it. I've bought probably 2 or 3 trashed Epic or trashed records on this yellow Epic label, and they all play VG plus. So they press these records right back then, man. They can stand up to a lot of abuse. So yeah, that's why I picked this up. Didn't really need it, but for the price, couldn't pass it up, and it sounds great. And this next one, Aladdin Sane by Bowie. I've never owned this album in any format. I'm aware of it. I've heard it a lot. Bowie albums can be a little bit overpriced in my opinion. But this one, the condition was, good for what they were asking. So I decided to go with that. The cover could stand to be cleaned up a little bit, but yeah, Aladdin Sane by Bowie. This next one, Josephus, Dead Man. This is a Numero Group reissue. Don't know what year this was reissued, but the original came out in 1970. And this is just some killer, hard Texas psych. They do a really good version of Gimme Shelter on here. So yeah, this is just good, fun Texas, hard Texas psych from 1970. Good shit. This next one, Budgie, Never Turn Your Back on a Friend from '73. This is a unofficial, I think 2012 Swedish press on this WoW label, and this pressing sounds like absolute shit. It's anemic sounding, it's thin. There's no punch to it. I felt like I had to crank my volume really loud and it still didn't even sound right. That said, this is a fantastic record, just not this pressing. It's just, I don't know how they sourced this or it's just a terrible sounding pressing of this. So if you see this Swedish 2012 pressing on this WoW label, pass it by. It's not even worth owning, I don't think. So I'm probably going to end up selling or trading this, and I'll just keep my eye out for an original, because this is kind of a garbage pressing. It's a damn shame, but what are you going to do? All right, this next one, The Children, Rebirth. This is from 67, 68, kind of haunting, spooky psych. This was an eBay find for me. The seller kind of screwed up. He sent me this jacket with a different disc inside. And the disc he sent me was Euphoria, a gift from Euphoria, which is another killer, sought after, very expensive, kind of psychedelic folk record. And I emailed him right away and let him know the mistake, and he was like, "Oh man, I'll correct that." And I offered to send the wrong record back to him once I got the correct one. So, it all worked out. But he, at least I had a cool record to listen to while I waited for the right one to arrive. But anyway, yeah, killer stuff. The sound that stands out on this one for me is Pictorial. 4th track on the second side. Yeah, this is a very cool record. In the Shrink, very happy with that. And this last one, this is like the heater of the year for me. Finchley Boys, Everlasting Tributes, from 1972. This was recorded in '69. These guys were from the Champaign-Urbana region of Illinois. and they released it on this private press label, Golden Throat Records, back in '72. So my buddy Brian, he owns a record store out in Westchester, Illinois, called We Buy Records. And he gifted this to me, sealed copy, original, and unbelievable. I was not really familiar with this when I got it. He asked me if I knew about it, and I'm like, I may have seen that on the VC. It looks vaguely familiar, but you know, I'd never heard it. So I throw it on, and the first track is kind of a simple blues, kind of reminiscent of like a early Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac, which is good. I love that stuff, but it wasn't anything all that extraordinary. And then after that first track, it just veers off the road into this just heavy, ominous blues psych territory, and kind of doesn't let up through the rest of the album. And this is just one of the coolest goddamn psych records I've ever heard. It's fucking killer. This is so good. I think you can stream this on YouTube. I highly recommend it if you're not familiar with this, at least streaming it. What a fantastic record, and just you know, one of the best gifts I've received in a very long time. So awesome stuff. That about does it for me. Everybody take care, and we'll see you again.